So this upcoming week has a lot of important shifts. Mercury goes into Scorpio, Venus goes into Libra with Jupiter and the Sun. The Moon finishes its course around the zodiac and enters Aries and into Taurus by the end of the week. So check this out. Okay, so for the week of October 30th and into early November, this first week of November and the end of October, we have quite a few changes. Venus is going to go into Libra by the end of the week, and Mercury is going to go into Scorpio. So these shifts are going to be quite important. And of course, Venus has been in its sign of debilitation in Virgo. So for the last few weeks, we've been really evaluating and assessing our level of happiness with the people and the things in our life. Venus in Virgo does give us this kind of scrutiny and this attention to detail, so we can really perfect and beautify our environment and the world we live in and our diet and things like that. But it can also make it so that we're sort of unsatisfied with the thing, so we can indulge. It sort of can go back and forth. We can, you know, not be satisfied, so we indulge personally, or we can just not even want to deal with it and have that sort of function of our sensuality sort of pushed down, sort of back and forth. And the reason there's such a range between one extreme or the other, people say, well, which one is it? Is it overindulging in the senses, or is it not wanting to bother with them? More than anything, dependent on your chart and how Venus is in your chart. So, and also other factors like what sign the moon is in and other things. This is why as the moon changes each day, it influences and affects different things. And of course, you as an individual will be influenced by the daily transits as well. This is why it can sort of go back and forth. But November 2nd is Thursday. That's when Venus will actually enter Libra. And in addition, Mercury is going to go into Scorpio on Wednesday, the day before. So Mercury has been in Libra with Jupiter and the Sun, which has been bringing speech, communication, skill, flexibility, and the Mercury-Jupiter brings an alignment of our higher wisdom and higher teachings and sense of purpose with Mercury, which is the details and explaining it and explaining how those things work. He's going to leave Libra, so rather than being in that place of wanting to share it with others and wanting to explain it and trying to find consensus with other people's beliefs and all that, maybe he's going into Scorpio, where it becomes more dramatic, more protective. We may be ready to battle and fight for our ideas a lot more. Actually for the next few months, because Mercury will go into Scorpio and then it goes into Sagittarius, two signs where Mercury is a little less friendly. And so we can see some real, let's say battles in the press, battles of rhetoric, arguing. It can certainly get more exacerbated for the next few months starting on Wednesday. So Venus going into Libra on Thursday, the next day, shows where we're going to really try to bring greater peace and diplomacy and harmony in relationships with each other. And it's going to join Jupiter. Venus-Jupiter, though, is a little tricky because Venus wants to bring about an honoring of another person's ideas and another person's values. And Jupiter is where we're trying to clearly define what's right and what's wrong. And everyone's values isn't right. I mean, even if they're right for that person, they might not be right for us. And again, Venus is very much about our values and what we are happy with, or I will say what you are happy with. You as an individual are happy with something, and then you want to share that happiness with another and have it magnify. You might be happy with something and somebody else is happy with something else. Venus will still try to find consensus and try to share it and find some common ground, but sometimes it's not possible. And this is where Venus suffers. Jupiter doesn't suffer. Jupiter says, no, that's not the right thing. Goodbye, you just don't get it. You're just not part of my religion, so that's okay. You're not I don't agree, and I'm not trying to get along with you. This is what's right, and if you don't see what's right, then so what? Not to be rude about it, because Jupiter also sees the bigger picture and doesn't bring in a sort of combativeness around it. Mars brings in the combativeness, but you know, Jupiter can see where everyone's philosophies are legitimate and where, you know, teaching and hope and inspiration and purpose is the important thing, but then it has to be personal for each individual. Again, and so this struggle between Jupiter and Venus shows, you know, will be an important theme for the next few weeks, starting on Thursday of this week. And again, Jupiter is the one getting more pulled down because Venus is in its own sign. Jupiter would then be in a great enemy sign at that point, because the natural status of Jupiter in Libra is enemy. And then when Venus joins in Libra, when planets join, they also become functional enemies, so it becomes great enemy. It means that Jupiter is in great enemy dignity. So the Jupiterian qualities can really get watered down for the next few weeks, starting on Thursday. And what that means is that we'll be much more likely to slide on our principles in order to make consensus and get along with others. Now you might say, well, that sounds good. That means we'll be happy and we won't fight over these principles. Well, that's not necessarily the result. Because again, as we slide on our principles, and then Venus leaves, and then Mars joins Jupiter next, then we start arguing about them after Mars comes and joins Jupiter later. So watch this transit. First we're going to have Venus join Jupiter for a few weeks, then we have Mars join Jupiter after Venus leaves. So notice that, and be careful about sliding too much on your own principles and values in order to get along, starting particularly on Thursday. And again, we see this very clearly and commonly happening when we get in a romantic relationship, because we want to get along with the person. This is why what breaks relationships up eventually is there's no Jupiter component. So you want to understand this. And honestly, most astrologers that I hear don't talk about this. Maybe some of them do, but most of them don't stress it nearly enough. When I say there's no Jupiter, that the Jupiter connection is missing, you can see it very clearly. One of the things that keeps relationships together are children, and they come from Jupiter, because it means that the couple has a shared purpose. Jupiter is the purpose. So we sacrifice our individual purpose in order to get along. For a while, that works, particularly when Venus is dominating Jupiter for a while, but then eventually that changes, and if the relationship is not conforming or in alignment with our higher purpose, we'll eventually leave it. Maybe we'll leave it after the kids grow up. Sound familiar? Ever heard of a couple that gets married and then once they have kids, they stay together for the kids, then once the kids grow up and they don't need the parents anymore, the parents go their separate ways? Boy, does that sound familiar? Well, what if you don't have kids? Well, then you better find something to have in common with that person, like a shared guru, shared religion, shared purpose. Even if the purpose is, you know, let's have fun together, let's, you know, share our life together and live, you know, and, you know, travel together, and where our life purpose is in alignment. It doesn't have to be around kids. It can be around, you know, obviously one of the biggest ones is, you know, shared guru, shared spiritual practice and practices. So these will be big themes for the next few weeks, and I talk a lot about the Venus going into Libra because it's going to join the Sun and also join Jupiter, and Venus will tend to dominate that for a while. So notice this, but then notice what comes the next month when Mars goes in to Libra at the end of November and joins Jupiter, and then we might tend to fight to reclaim some of that ground that we've compromised. Again, so that'll be a big shift. In addition, the Sun keeps going through Libra. Jupiter is combust, so there's a lot of issues with our teachers and our gurus now. You might find where some of your teachings are getting purified because the sun is very close to Jupiter. I'm going to do a video here on Jupiter combust, what the combustion is, and particularly the combustion of Jupiter. Look for that in the next few days. And that's also a big theme. And Venus is going to join that and try to bring harmony. And, you know, again, this is going to be for a few weeks, and for much of November, there'll be a lot of Libra themes. But then again, as Mercury leaves Libra and goes into Scorpio, that Mercury part, which is self-expression, communication, language, will be in Scorpio, which of course is about investigating, digging deeply into things, trying to expose, let's say, secrets and hidden things and conspiracies and stuff. Let's wait and see what happens with like the JFK stuff or the investigations in the world. We might see some important secrets revealed for in the next few weeks as Mercury goes through Scorpio, particularly after Wednesday. There could be a lot of that. You know, that could really be a important theme. So those are some big shifts with the planets. And let's look at the week in general. So again, Monday and Tuesday, the moon is in Aquarius, where it's going to be, you know, moon in Aquarius is also aspected by Jupiter, and it's going to bring a focus on, you know, social causes and culture and wanting to align with higher purposes. That's always what happens when the moon goes through Aquarius. We are looking at our role in society and culture and wanting to serve something higher. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, you see the moon is in Pisces, and it's opposite Mars. Particularly on Wednesday, you see that's the day that Mercury goes into Scorpio, and the moon is directly opposite Mars. So that's a big shift into some Mars energy there on Wednesday, with Mercury going into Scorpio, Mars opposite the moon in Pisces. That's a good day, Wednesday, for a lot of emotional intensity and like emotional work, especially like spiritual practices that revolve around, you know, looking deeper into your emotional stresses and worries and fears, and relaxing and surrendering into the great metaphysical beyond on Wednesday and Thursday as the moon is in Pisces. On Thursday, it's still aspecting Venus. As Venus moves into Libra, you can see the moon is at the very end of Pisces going into Aries, so the moon will be aspecting and aspected by Venus on Thursday. So again, Wednesday, Thursday, moon in Pisces, good for teachings, metaphysical awareness, creativity, maybe escapism. Wednesday, more intense with the Mars aspect. Thursday, more gentle with the Venus aspect and the focus on creativity. Notice that on Wednesday and Thursday as Mercury and Venus both shift. So both of those days, there'll be some flux for sure, because both Mercury and Venus are both getting set up in their new signs. Moon is in Pisces, which is also kind of spacey a little bit. And then on Friday and Saturday, the moon will move into Aries, which will start a new cycle of enthusiasm and passion. Moon in Aries is always fiery, individualized, where we are wanting to, you know, shine of our own individuality, at least psychologically and emotionally. We're feeling, you know, sort of ready to clarify who we are and maybe do some battle over that. And especially on Friday, it's the full moon, so I'll be doing a full moon forecast, of course, to get you up to date on the full moon in Aries, Purnima, which will be in Bharani Nakshatra. I'll do a full update on that. So that's the opposite, you know, the sort of harmonizing, balancing point of the Libra cycle will be that full moon in Aries, where we're having to reestablish our own individuality. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we have the, well, we did Friday and Saturday, the moon is in Aries. Then on Sunday, the moon is exalted in Taurus, which brings, you know, that solid connection to the heart. And this is why the moon is exalted in Taurus, because it's that fixed earth. Monday and Tuesday, I'm sorry, Sunday and Monday into next week, we have the exalted moon in Taurus. It's aspected by Mercury, especially on Sunday. So that'll be a good day for creativity and self-expression as well. So that's the upcoming week, October 30th. Share this with others if you think it will help them. And you know, I do daily forecasts through my member site. Only 50 cents. You can try it and get a full detailed forecast each day. But aside from that, I hope this helps you. Again, share it with others. Look for more videos this week about the Jupiter combustion and a few other things. Have several videos that I'm going to be making this week, so you have a good one.